So the mechanics of the car are done. I don't think there's anything left. Let's just do a little flip through. The sway bars are in, the shocks are all built in, the battery tray and adjuster is in, fan, motor, just some electronics now. Something is odd. Okay. Backwards, maybe. I think I need to flip that diff. Yes, my bad. That's a pretty obvious mistake. Here are our last 3 10s. Excellent. You do this enough and you'll learn to set your lash by feel. There's just a certain amount of jiggle you want, but too much and you're tearing gears up. Not enough and it's tight. You know, I don't think I'm going to use these little pins here. I think what I'm going to do is put down some sticky foam that'll keep the battery in place, and this being tight on top will also help keep the battery in place. Let me just read their recommendation. Okay, that makes sense. That's what I thought, where I thought they might be going. They don't want us to clamp the battery. They want the battery to be able to move around a bit, or at least be free. That way it doesn't impact on the chassis stiffness. So what I need to do now is set this up. See, that almost needs to be like that, because the way I thought it was shown puts this screw underneath there, and that's not good. I think, yeah, I'm gonna move this little bumper or stop, whatever you want to call it, all the way forward to its forwardmost position, thus moving the battery as far forward as possible, putting weight, again, as far forward as possible. Now we are going to want something below the battery that has a little traction to keep the battery from leaning up against the out drive there. Well, that doesn't make much sense either. Okay. If they don't want us clamping the battery down, then we have to have the battery has to come to a, I mean, this thing has to come to a stop. So what I'm saying is they want you to have a certain amount of space between this and the battery, so that the battery isn't being clamped. The battery can just kind of hang out. But that also means that this has to tighten down, and that's why we've got that nut there. And that's also why we don't want another screw here. Okay, that's too far. You see, this needs to be able to tighten down onto the nut clamping this bar, but not clamping the battery. So we don't want that much play. I think we're going to want to get a little bit of Loctite dried onto those threads so that can move but not vibrate loose. And so instead of having a stud and another one of these nice blue thumb screws, we're going to want a bolt. Probably on the order of like 15. The only problem with this battery setup is it's so complicated trying to keep this thing to have the looseness that they want us to have. It's if you change batteries to a different size battery, even slightly different, you've got a lot of work to do. So there. That way we can, the battery is got some movement to it. You can unscrew the thumb screw, lift, and pull it out. Put it back in, latch it down, and so now I need to find some stick-on foam, which I probably have somewhere. I just need a little bit right here. Okay, this isn't a perfect solution. These are medium-duty felt pads by Everbuilt. Self-adhesive. It's the kind of thing you use with furniture. Find these at Lowe's or Home Depot. And again, not the perfect solution, but it will suffice. I think that's going to be too much. It's just going to jack the battery up. Need something thinner. Like the stuff that usually comes with associated cars for putting underneath the battery. I'm going to do a little searching and see what I can find on the hobby store website. Okay, made a little mistake here. Should have just looked over here. The cups, the tallest cup is the 9mm, the medium size is the 5. The smaller one is the 0. So I was obviously looking at the wrong measurement spot. I am not, to be honest, 100% sure now where they measure from, or how they call that out, because that seems to be the difference points, but whatever. I'm going to go ahead and switch these two front cups. I've already done the rears. Not a big deal. I'm about to put on the ESC and get going on some soldering. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the car on a tuning board and start doing suspension adjustments. Getting this ready for its first runs. I haven't gotten any paint work done. We have had almost non-stop rain, unfortunately. Every time I think I'm going to have a day that I can do a little painting, it starts pouring down. I cannot paint indoors, don't have a garage, and when the humidity's up like that, there's just no point in trying to paint outside. All I'm going to do is ruin a body. So I'm hoping I'll get to take this to the track next week. I'm not going to worry about doing any kind of fancy paint work. I'm just going to go quick and easy. I'll do a little bit of a paint pattern on it, maybe a couple colors, nothing outstanding. A couple of stripes maybe, or a half and half paint job. We'll see. I relocated the fan just to have the wire come up in a different place. I'm more concerned about having the wiring. I'll basically just let it follow the power leads back toward the ESC and where I'm going to plug it. And what I'm probably going to be doing is instead of having it connect to the battery leads like I do on a lot of my cars, I'm basically going to take a servo connector and trim that excess wire off, the signal wire, and then I will use these two wires attached to probably to the battery leads, and that way I can plug the battery in like that, or plug the fan into the battery like that, nice and easy, without having to have it always be on anytime the battery's plugged in. That usually works fine for me, but I'm thinking about going a different direction this time. So and I think what I'm going to do is run the ESC wire underneath the drive shaft here. Not exactly sure how I want to anchor that, but that keeps it out of the way. I'm going to two-sided tape the ESC down here and put the capacitors next to it like that. That way everything is easy to reach, and the capacitors are still attached to the same plate, so that can be moved for cleaning or whatever repairs might need to be done. So the first thing I'm going to do is attach the caps, and then the ESC will get put next to them. Why does this stuff always have to be such a pain to peel off? God. Okay, so I didn't want to bother showing you soldering or all kinds of wiring nonsense. You're going to have to figure that out for yourselves because your car is going to be different than mine. So what I've done, and let me see if I can't just zoom in a little here. And get a little pointer going. Okay, so the communication cable from the motor to the ESC is right here, and it's a flat cable. I basically routed it along here underneath this motor mount. It pops out from time to time, but doesn't matter. It's not going to go anywhere. It plugs in right here on the side of the ESC. I gave it a little fold over and a zip tie to take up some slack. I didn't want it to be tight. I just didn't want too much slack looping around. I relocated the fan to the opposite side of the fan mount so that it's not up against the wire here, but it's still going to blow air all over the back end of the motor. And there's holes in the can for that air to come in, especially over here. Which is a critical area that we don't want to get hot. There's a circuit board back there, so we want to keep that cool. These little suckers are just some plastic pieces that I designed in CAD and 3D printed. I hate to say designed. I drew them up in CAD. There's not much of a design work there. I just print a bunch of them every once in a while, and I use them to help keep the wires organized and looking nice. I made sure that there was enough slack, that these wires are not tight between the ESC and the motor. You don't want that. You also don't need a big wire loom up in the air. Now, I did the little fold over and zip tie thing here, these nice little bundles for my steering servo and my ESC. I had run the ESC wire underneath, and I decided I didn't want the risk of any friction, it touching up against the one of the drive shafts and wearing through the wire and causing a communication problem. That could be bad. Could also short circuit if it hits the power cable, so didn't want that to happen. Now we have our positive and negative wires here, and I decided to do my connection the same way I normally route it for my fan, but I wanted to put like a switch in here. So I basically have a plug. This is just a servo extension wire that I trimmed and put it inside the some heat shrink tube. That way it's easy to pull these out, and I let the heat shrink slightly overlap the top of the connector. This is a type of connector I've been using on pretty much everything. Anytime I need to do a custom wire up and I'm using plugs. These are Rude Dog RP0198, and it's 4 and 5 millimeter bullets. I have a variety of shorty packs that I use for racing. Some of them are 5 millimeter and some of them are the 4 millimeter. 4 millimeter is a little older. You don't see it as much these days, but it's good to have the option for both. So if it's a 4 millimeter pack that I'm running, the plug will plug in up to there. If it doesn't, it will continue to push in until you get up to here. So very convenient, very nice to have, and I highly recommend them. The quality of these plugs is excellent. They solder up nice and easy. Definitely get yourself one of these guys. That way you can hold one of those plugs in one clip and the wire itself in another, and make sure you tin both of them first and you get a great connection. Likewise, your motor connections, tin the wire and then tin the tab, and then putting them together is very easy. As you can see, I've got them angled flat coming off the motor so that they're not up and around. They're not going to rub up against the body or be a problem in that direction. My receiver is just two-sided tape down like my ESC, and my the little resistors, or I forget what those things are called. Anyway, sorry, it's been a long day building. So the car is done. I've set up my transmitter. I have updated the receiver firmware, and I bound the receiver to the transmitter, created the name of the car in the transmitter. I am using my my Noble NB4. I love this transmitter. It's just handles great. You can adjust what side you want this on. There's other ergonomic adjustments. You've got a full screen touch display. Everything is easy to figure out and understand, and it's just a dynamite radio. Highly recommend them. And they have some really nice receivers if you are if you want to race Mini Z and you want to do anything other than just play with Mini Z cars. Skip the ready set, move right on to the higher end car, and you're going to need that transmitter. That's the best one for Mini Z. They've got a little plug-in, basically like a little circuit board receiver that plugs into the Ford top of the higher performance Mini Z cars. And that way your Mini Z is adjustable in all the ways that a good radio is adjustable. You've got endpoint adjustments, center point adjustments, all kinds of things you can do to fine-tune how your Mini Z car performs, and that is essential because those cars are so small, and every little bit of anything is a factor in how they perform. So what I need to do to finish this, I need to put it on a tuning board and adjust the front and rear suspension. I will show you that process. I need to glue up some tires. I need to paint the body. That's it. It's ready to go. I've gone through this several times and found things that I was, like I had the differential mounted backwards when I was first putting things together, and I can make excuses. I have a very good one, in fact, that I was had missing parts for the steering, and also had lost parts for the differential, so I had to put off building the center diff and move forward to other parts of the car and then come back around to it. Plus, you try building one of these kits for hours on end while talking to a camera, and I'll shake your hand because it's hard. I hope you guys, I'm sure you guys are watching lots of other people's videos as well. I hope you take the time to like and subscribe to all of them. With the exception of the professional drivers who are getting, probably getting some pay for this from sponsors and from their, from whoever they race for as a primary. We get nothing. We do this all out of just a love of the hobby and trying to pass something on. So that you guys can learn from our experience. I've been in this hobby for decades, all the way back to the original RC10 Gold Pan and the early days of RC airplanes and cars. And it's, I don't do any racing or anything other than just for fun these days. It's, I get out to the track when I can, and just try to have a good time and try to help people who are getting into the hobby. I hope more people try and get involved. It's a great hobby. There's a lot of really good people in it. And there's a lot to learn. This hobby pointed me towards a career in engineering, and I might not have gone that way if I hadn't developed a love for models and building things. So if you've got a kid that you want to, you know, get him interested in STEM and head him toward, you know, one of the career paths that would come out of that, getting him into RC, learning to use tools, learning to, you know, build things with his hands. It's a great thing for young kids to get into. And if you're a middle-aged guy looking to have some fun yourself, you know, get your kid into it and do some racing yourself. And if you're an older guy like me and, you know, kids aren't a thing anymore, and you just want to have some fun yourself, you want an excuse to build fun cars and go to the track, meet people, have some fun racing, excellent hobby to get into. So thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying this series. Please click like, please subscribe. I can really use the help. And the next video, we're going to be doing tuning.